Hey everybody, it's Glenn, back in this video with the Marvel Legends Spider-Man Infinite Series Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure Collection Spider-Man 2099. Yet this ain't no ordinary action figure review, as he'll also be going head-to-head with Hasbro's earliest stab at the character. On the packaging back we see on the left there the Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure with Spider-Man 2099 coming with Hobgoblin's right arm and sword. Then the other figures in this line are Spider-Man, Anti-Venom, Mayday Parker Spider-Girl, Ultimate Spider-Woman and Daredevil, all of which I've already reviewed, so if you haven't yet, go check those out. The packaging back reads with ninja-like stealth Miguel O'Shea. Hang on. Now the Spider-Man 2099 I've always known is Miguel O'Hara, so someone please explain to me why the card back refers to him as O'Shea. The character is of mixed Mexican and Irish descent. I don't know if this is just a case of whoever wrote this getting their Irish last names mixed up. Maybe in writing it they were like, oh, what's his last name again? Something Irish. O'Shea. Yeah, that's it. Launched in 1992, Spider-Man 2099 is the most successful of a slew of reimagined future versions of Marvel characters living in the year 2099, and like almost every depiction of the future, the world has gone to hell in a handbasket with all the obligatory cyberpunk dystopic elements of a police state controlled by evil mega corporations. And with a catastrophe having wiped them all out 100 years prior, it's also a world without superheroes. That is, until Miguel O'Hara has half of his DNA rewritten with the genetic code of a spider, and inspired by historic accounts of Peter Parker, becomes Spider-Man himself. Taking a closer look, and the figure has a really nice metallic blue finish, yet the red pattern of the costume on the body, it is just deco, and as I've come to expect of Legends of late, it does get a bit sloppy here and there. The skull design on the chest speaks to Miguel's Mexican heritage, with this costume, prior to him becoming Spider-Man, being a Day of the Dead costume. With the head sculpt, the red details of the mask are sculpted, raised in relief. It looks good. Spider-Man 2099 has always been well regarded among Spidey fans owing to the strength of Peter David's writing, but among the more casual fans the attraction seems to be an edgier looking Spider-Man. That's down to the costume design, and it's captured well here. In the comics, Spider-Man 2099's cape is made from advanced particles that have a low-level anti-gravity effect, allowing Miguel to glide. On the figure it plugs in at the back and is removable. It's made from a translucent plastic, has some webbing sculpted detail to it. As with the regular Spider-Man that I've already reviewed, Spider-Man 2099 also shares the same legs as Superior Spider-Man from the previous series. Then from above the hips, the torso has been elongated, so he stands taller than the Superior Spider-Man. And as I said with a classic Spider-Man figure, it suffers from some disproportionality from the elongation of the torso, with the legs then seeming too short. It's not a killer, but I do have to mention it. And on the subject of disproportionality, his hands, like Peter's, are probably too big. It doesn't bother me too much as it makes them more gestural imposing. Then attention to detail I do commend is that compared to Peter's, the fingertips are more pointed, and I say that as unlike Peter, who is able to adhere his body to surfaces, instead Miguel wall crawls by virtue of talons at the ends of his fingers. So this earlier Spider-Man 2099 we have here is from 2006's Spider-Man Origins, which was the very first line Hasbro pushed out after the Marvel toy license passed to them from Toy Biz. And I guess eager to capitalise on their latest acquisition, the Hasbro line consisted entirely of redecoed versions of previous Toy Biz figures, so this one is often confused for being just that, but see, it's got Hasbro on the bottom of his foot there. You know, Hasbro, where you should be putting the serial numbers that you're currently printing on your Marvel Legends. This figure began life in Toy Biz's Spider-Man Classics Series A as Webb Attack Spider-Man, Spider-Man Classics being a line most definitely targeted at kids, hence the goofy big shoulder mounted missile launcher it came with. The redeco as Spider-Man 2099 came with no such kid-friendly accessory, and the articulation is seriously lacking for collectors, leaving me wondering just who Hasbro were making this for. And in hindsight, thinking about it, it's symptomatic that it would take Hasbro a number of years to really understand the legacy of Marvel figures they inherited. In terms of a comparison, let's face it, it's really not much of one, is it? We'll get to the criminal lack of articulation later. I can see a redeeming feature some might find is the cape. Personally, I'm rarely a fan of fabric goods on this scale, yet I know some are, so let's try a swap and see if the new Legends figure benefits any from the cape. I guess with it you can pose him so that the cape looks more like it's aiding him glide, but really I think this figure would have greatly benefited from coming with a second plastic cape with a wider gliding style splay to it. Now comparing articulation, the heads of each rotate, they both look down, the new one much more, and is also able to look up much more too. The new one has one of those butterfly armpit joints which moves the arm backwards and forwards. Both have upper arm rotation, then their arms are able to move up this much, the older one much more. Both have an upper arm rotation, double jointed elbows. The old one rotates mid-lower arm, whereas the new one rotates at the wrist. Both have wrist hinges moving down and up. Then the old one has articulated fingers, which is weird because in the arms it's essentially Marvel Legends style articulation, but then has no ab crunch, whereas the new one does, moving this far forward and this far back. Both have rotation at the waist, then at the hips. This is where the old one gets positively archaic as it only moves forwards and backwards, whereas the newer one moves out to the side, it moves forward this much and moves this far back. The new one has upper leg rotation, whereas the old version doesn't. At the knees, the new one has double jointed knees, the old one has single jointed. Both have hinged ankles. No ankle pivot on the old one, but then the new one has that awesome ankle rocker style pivot. So all things considered, I really like this new Spider-Man 2099. As for the old one, well, I'm not sure it needed any more reasons not to buy it, but this new Legends one has just added one reason to that list. Anyway, click a video if you missed reviews of any of the other figures from this series. Give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.